External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ravish Kumar also reacted to this controversy. Let's listen into what he had to say first.
I think this is something which should be addressed to the Canadian side. I believe they have already clarified. They have said that it was an oversight, and that is the reason why the invitation for the reception tonight has been, I believe, has been withdrawn. On the visa part, it is something which has to be, perhaps I can't say immediately how that happened. There are different ways of people coming into India, whether you are an Indian national, whether you hold OCI cards. So we are ascertaining details from our mission. We will have to see how this happened, and then I can perhaps at a later stage I can share some details on this matter.
All right, for more on this, I'm joined by WION's Ramesh Ramachandran to give us more details on this controversy that's erupted on Canadian Prime Minister's visit in India. Ramesh, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. So two things are emerging out of this controversy now. A, the damage has been done. And second, now everyone is attempting to control that damage. We've heard Canadian Prime Minister, he's issued a statement saying that since the invite has been withdrawn and he's taking this matter very seriously. Another thing that's emerging out of this is that there has been an oversight somewhere, A, on the part of Canadian High Commission, which extended the invitation, and somewhere, as Ujjwal Dosanjh also said, that Indian politicians and somewhere in the Indian administration for giving that visa to Atwal. What do you have to say about that?
It's turning out to be a complete PR disaster, isn't it, Archana? I mean, First of all, from the word go, this visit was overshadowed by the so-called Khalistani links. And then came Trudeau's reluctance to call out the Sikh radicalism in Canada. And now this avoidable controversy in inviting this particular convicted terrorist to the High Commissioner's dinner reception. But that said, questions are being asked as to why could not Canada and India together avoid the situation in the first place. Canada for having not created the situation controversy, and India for having had the better sense not to give him the visa in the first place. And all of this happens, by the way, Archana, on the eve of the crucial bilateral talks here in New Delhi. The first time Trudeau will be meeting Prime Minister Modi for bilateral talks here in India during the course of a 7-day-long visit. So clearly, this is, optically speaking, this is a complete PR disaster.
Right. Ramesh, for the benefit of our viewers, could you please explain the shadow of Khalistan as far as the ties between India and Canada are concerned? Because Justin Trudeau and his administration, and in the past also, have been accused of, because they call it freedom of speech and expression, but there has been the shadow of Khalistan in Canada, and he's been accused of allowing it to grow into a movement in Canada.
The issue here is, Archana, that Trudeau in particular, Justin Trudeau, the head of the Liberal Party, seems to be reluctant to call out Sikh radicalism in Canada. And the answer to that might lie in the so-called vote bank politics, where the Indian-Canadian community is a sizable population that votes for the Liberal Party and Trudeau in particular in the last election. And Trudeau in some ways wants to reciprocate by not antagonizing this particular community. But in doing so, he has alienated New Delhi and has created avoidable controversy here in India during his visit. But that said, Sikh radicalism is not new to Canada. India has been consistently arguing and leaning upon Canadian governments, successive governments in Canada, to call out the Sikh radicalism, not give them as much play as they are giving and have been getting in the last several decades, and that India has genuine concerns on this score. But Canada, for some reason, says it is a matter of freedom of expression and not as much a question of radicalism or extremism. But the question remains that Trudeau has been forced and compelled to admit, at least in so far, that Canada stands for a united India. But will he go beyond that? Remains to be seen.
Right. Ramesh, please stay on with us. For the benefit of our viewers, let's once again play that bite of Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson who was clarifying that the fact that how Khalistani terrorists got the visa is still under probe, but also highlighting how the Canadian High Commission has withdrawn that invite.
I think this is something which should be addressed to the Canadian side. I believe they have already clarified. They have said that it was an oversight, and that is the reason why the invitation for the reception tonight has been, I believe, has been withdrawn. On the visa part, it is something which has to be, perhaps I can't say immediately how that happened. There are different ways of people coming into India, whether you are an Indian national, whether you hold OCI cards. So we are ascertaining details from our mission. We will have to see how this happened, and then I can perhaps at a later stage I can share some details on this matter.
Right, Ramesh Ramchandran is still with us. Ramesh, please tell us more about this person, Jaspal Atwal, because there's massive controversy. Everybody is talking about it. He was convicted and sentenced for 20 years. Give us more details about him.
Now, Atwal is part of the 1.4 odd million Indian Canadian community in Canada, and they are a very vocal population, economically well off and are politically vocal as well. And Atwal is part of that community which was on the wrong side of the law as far as India is concerned. Atwal was convicted of attempted murder on the life of an Indian minister from Punjab, and this happened in Vancouver in 1987. So since then, he has also been involved in several banned outfits, including the Sikh Youth Federation. But that said, the question arises at the moment is, India is also tying itself up in knots. How did the Indian government agencies issue the visa in the first place and allow him to visit India? Now, that needs to be probed further. But as of now, as things stand, Atwal is persona non grata as far as India is concerned, especially during this visit, and his invitation to this evening's dinner reception stands withdrawn. But how it will play out going forward, especially tomorrow when the two principals meet here in New Delhi, remains to be seen.
Right. Ramesh, we earlier spoke to Ujjwal Dosanjh, who is an ex-Canadian minister. He said that the Indian politicians have been inept in in this entire controversy and how this entire situation was allowed to grow. What is your take on that? What is the other side saying?
Well, as far as India is concerned, Archana, India has consistently maintained that Canada needs to do more to not give that much of freedom for these radical groups to operate in Canada under the garb of freedom of expression, because India has genuine concerns, genuine anxieties. India cannot possibly tolerate a particular section of people anywhere in the world calling for the separation or splitting India into a smaller state of Khalistan. But that said, the Indian Canadian community, the Sikh community, is very vocal today. Remember, there are at least 19 lawmakers of Indian origin. Of them, 17 of them are Sikhs, and 4 of them are in Trudeau's cabinet. So they are a vocal population, no doubt. But that said, India says Trudeau needs to do more to dispel the apprehension in India that going forward, this particular section of community might become more vocal and cause India more anxieties going forward. And this was conveyed even yesterday by the Punjab Chief Minister Amarinder Singh, who, remember, did not want to meet Trudeau first off. But then in the last few days, we've seen the Punjab Chief Minister becoming more amenable to a meeting with Trudeau. And that exactly happened yesterday in Amritsar, where both of them met. And Trudeau was forced again compelled to admit and acknowledge that Canada stands for a united India. But will he go out beyond that and call out the Sikh radicalism in Canada? That remains to be seen.
All right, Ramesh, let's listen to Justin Trudeau, who's speaking right now in the national capital.